it's Rob here with a look behind the scenes. It's Badass Overtime, giving you a chance to listen in to Sven's conversation with his guests after the show.
We are back with Marin and Kenny, and I was just looking at some of my notes that I took during this session. I found it interesting that both of you spoke of being relieved. Kenny, you felt relieved by leaving behind basically a woman who had expectations of what you should be and what you should do and not do. And it's fascinating that, Marin, you felt relief by leaving behind expectations of what you should be and what you should do and what you should not do. Isn't it fascinating? I tell people, isn't that interesting? And the people listening to the show don't know that before the show, I talked to the guests for just a couple of minutes, and I had said to both Kenny and Marin, sometimes our booker, Sophia the intern, she'll pick people who have two very similar issues, and sometimes she'll pick people who have two very dissimilar or just foreign, not at all alike. And that's what we got tonight with Kenny and Marin, and yet we discover, bingo, boingo, bongo, the exact same feelings of relief, the exact same fears of perception. It's really interesting, and leaving behind the expectations of what I should be and the sense of relief. And one of the things I tell people is that the way to know what your path is to read your own energy. And this is why I also recommend in my book, I recommend the book Living in the Light by the author Shakti Gawain. And she writes, she talks about, and it's on the recommended reading list in my book, she writes such a great book, and she talks about how really the way to understand self is to just read your own energy, reading your own feelings. What are you feeling? And those things that give you energy are you. And I sort of riff on that, and I basically say, if it either brings you a sense of calm/relief, or if it brings you a sense of exuberance, it's you. If it brings calm or relief, it's you. Or if it brings exuberance, it's you. If it brings anxiety, fear, desperation, anything like that, it's not you. But if it brings calm or relief, or if it brings exuberance, it's you. And you guys both are feeling the sense of relief for these decisions. Has it occurred to you that by making each of these decisions and having these realizations, you've found more of yourself by cutting away that which is not you? Michelangelo, when he was carving the statue David, he said, he basically said, I'm cutting away that which is not David. I'm not carving David. I'm carving away that which is not him. Almost as though the rock is speaking. It's very interesting. I want to ask, what's going on inside of you, Kenny? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I am resonating with what you've just said. Again, I referenced earlier that listening to a particular episode of your show hit me, and you said similar things that you've just said on that one as well. And it's almost taking me back to that moment when I was listening to that driving home one day, and I was still in the relationship and having this sense of, I need to do this for me. And that brings me to now. And I actually feel quite proud of myself, actually.
You should, because it was a statement of self. It wasn't just, gee, we need to get out of this house or away from this person. It was more than just a person or a house or a relationship. It was a statement of self. And it was a breaking.
And not just myself, but for my daughter too.
Bingo. But as we heard from Marin's story, her children need her to most be her authentic self and no longer be dominated by her mother's voice inside of her saying, you're stupid. Your voice doesn't matter. So Marin's children need Marin to be whatever is written on the computer chip of Marin's soul. They need her to be Marin. Your daughter, Kenny, needs you to be the most authentic Kenny. If for no other reason, then you will never be happier than when you are being yourself. And God, what a blessing to have a happy parent. Because then you're pouring from a full love cup rather than an empty one. Marin, what's going on inside of you?
I've always known that I was made for more. And I've made TikTok videos, and I want to start my own micro bakery. And I want to go to a gala in 2 weeks. And I've never dressed up fancy in my day in my life. And I'm going to do it because I need to for me.
Fuck yeah.
Because I'm worth it.
Fuck yeah.
So
I love that. I love that. You know,
I want to give
ahead.
myself permission.
Oh, hell yes.
To do what I want to do for me.
That's wonderful. And I'll remind you that I know you're in the United States. This time of year in the United States, the end of winter, as spring is approaching, the ground has laid fallow for winter, and the seeds that are in the ground, inside the seed, inside the pit of a peach, or inside the seed of an apple, inside that shell is a fruit. And because of the pressure of the winter and the water and everything, that fruit begins to break out of the shell, and a little shoot begins to go up an inch towards the sun on the top of the soil, and part of the seed begins to go down into the soil towards a water source. And that little shoot comes out of the ground, and it begins to reach for the sun. And its little branches and its little leaves begin to open. Has it occurred to you that finally, at whatever age you are now, that finally, that hard shell that you had to become to protect that child, you are finally breaking through. You have finally created the safety necessary for that little seed to come out. And now the micro bakery, and now the pretty dress and makeup, and now the coaching, and now everything is reaching towards the sun, and those roots are reaching to ground you deep into the earth with the sturdiness of soil. Has it occurred to you that this is the beginning? And for the record, in the immortal words of Joseph Campbell, there is no birth without blood and the tearing of flesh. When the baby passes through the birth canal, it is dark and it is painful for all parties. And there is blood, and there is the episiotomy, there is the tearing of flesh. Birth is painful. To break out of that shell of the womb, of the seed. But you're birthing. Yeah. You're birthing. And the challenge I have, Kenny, I want to just challenge you, and we don't have any more time, but I want to challenge you in your self-work to really ask yourself, where the hell did this one thing come from? And I'm going to refer to one thing in particular. There used to be a show on British TV, I believe it was. I want to say it was the 70s, maybe the 60s. And the title of the show was Keeping Up Appearances.
Yeah.
And you are so concerned with how you are perceived that you said in your thing that the idea of life on my own makes me feel lighter and invigorated, but through fear of the upheaval, confrontation, and perceptions, as well as navigating the things my partner says I'm doing. In other words, her perception of you. I find myself constantly second guessing, living in a world of what if. That concern about perceptions, if it is significant, I'm willing to bet someone in your home growing up was very concerned about keeping up appearances and what people thought. And very often, and maybe not, but very often when that is the case, children have expectations of what's expected of them, and that we keep up appearances. And very often that means at the expense of the child's voice. Your voice got lost somewhere, Kenny, and I'd bet my left testicle, if Las Vegas were giving me odds, that it wasn't at school. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Final question is simply this. Marin, words for Kenny, and Kenny, any words for Marin? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
Marin, I think that you should absolutely do whatever you want to do. Seeing you get emotional is it's beautiful. You deserve to do what you want to do.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Marin, any words for Kenny?
I would have to say that you were brave. You were brave for doing what you did. I've stayed too long in relationships that didn't serve me, and you did what you needed to do for you and your daughter. And I'm proud of you.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
You guys were great. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. You guys were fantastic.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Yeah. Stay in touch with the show. Let us know how things go as things unfold. All right?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right.
That's it. Join us for new counseling episodes every Thursday and lightning rounds every Sunday.
Thanks for listening to Badass Overtime. Now go out and slay some demons and have a kick-ass day.